I'm going to take you through some examples of verification and what verification is in this lovely title session called VD Verified. So I'm going to start with a video which was actually the first ever video I verified. And I verified it using a technique called geolocation, which is where we take visual image from the video, we examine it, and we see things where we can compare it to, for example, satellite imagery. So this is a video from TG in Libya from 2011. And this was a time when the rebels were claiming that they were capturing territory. Now, there were lots of claims and counterclaims going back and forth. So I wanted to kind of figure out whether or not this was actually true. So I kind of looked at what was in the video, and I saw, for example, this mosque. It had this very distinct dome, minaret, and I could see this tank going down this road. It was very wide. So I thought, what could I do to figure out where this actually was? Well, I looked on Google Maps, and Google Maps had satellite imagery which I could look at, and straight away I could see the town they claimed to be in, and this very long road running all the way through it. And as I zoomed into it, I realized you could see how wide this road actually was by looking at the width of the cars. And as I went down that road, I discovered this building, the mosque, that looked very similar to the one in the video. So I compared details in this. So, for example, I could see the position of the dome, the shape of the dome, and the minaret, and the shape of the wall running around the mosque. I could look at smaller details then. For example, the edge of the road was visible. So I started with this very large detail, which is the road. I discovered that. I started drilling down for these smaller and smaller details. So this is another example from Libya. In this video, what we didn't have is a big mosque. We didn't have anything that was that obvious that we could search for on Google Earth imagery. But what I realized, this guy was walking around. And as he was walking around, he was filming a very large feature, which was the road beneath his feet. So these rebels, they were claiming they were in Brega. They said they were from Benghazi, so they had come from the east. So straight away, I discovered this location, New Brega, which was the point furthest east in that area. And the question was then, how could I figure out where they were? Because this area has lots of very similar roads. Lots of junctions, lots of kind of buildings that were the same shape. So what I started to do is watch this video very carefully and draw out a map of the actual road layout. And there were kind of tricky bits. There are bits you can fast forward through very quickly because they aren't very interesting. But we can see there's this curve to begin with. So I drew that down. And then he walks down this very long road and takes time. But then he turns left. And I know he turns left because although the camera moves very quickly, he looks to his left just before he makes the turn. You'll see he switches the camera around very quickly, barely noticeable. And then he looks behind himself to see where he just came from. And this was actually key to locating where he was, because this junction was on a curve. And I noticed in Brega, nearly all the junctions were not on curves, they were on straight T junctions. So I worked through all the imagery of Brega, eliminating all the junctions that were straight until I found one like this. And this is the junction he had just walked up to. He continued up the road, and I could see him come to this T junction. He turned left and continued down the road. So almost if I'd matched a kind of a key to a lock to uncover where this actually was. Now, this was simply just figuring out where people were, but there's kind of more involved versions of this you can do. So this is a photograph from a set of photographs leaked by basically a defector from the Syrian government, Caesar, most of which were photographs of corpses that were being documented. But this one was different because we could actually see the background in this one. So we looked at various details where we could figure out exactly where this was. Now, he had claimed he had taken it in several hospitals in Damascus and other areas, but how could we figure this out? Well, one thing we noticed is in the hills in the background, we had these two items, which we believed were aerials. Now, there's only so many hills in Damascus and only so many aerials in those hills and only so many pairs of aerials. So we were able to quickly find this kind of pair of aerials. And then we started comparing this location to where the hospitals were. And how we did this is we went again to Google Earth where we could zoom in. And one thing you can do on Google Earth is actually look at the terrain that's visible. So we could place the camera down and we could actually see a hill. And then I took two 3D models and put them on the hill where there were actually antennae visible on the satellite imagery. And when we compare these two images, we could actually see that there was a very similar match. But one thing you're going to discover we use a lot in this kind of geolocation is colored boxes. We love colored boxes because we use colored boxes to figure out how to show people what something is in a picture and what something is in a satellite image. Now, I'm not going to tell you too much about these colored boxes, but you will be seeing many colored boxes later, so do keep that in mind. So one thing that was interesting about this was where this location was. This is President Assad's palace in Damascus. And we could actually see that these bodies that were being documented and this photograph that was taken was just over 500 meters away from his presidential palace, so pretty much under his nose. So now I'm going to show you what might be considered a historical video, at least in the context of the Syrian civil war. This is the first ever video of a barrel bomb in Syria. Now, a barrel bomb is an improvised explosive device, but in this video, they were claiming this had been pushed out of a helicopter, others had been pushed out, they exploded, but this looks like someone's pushed over a bin. It doesn't really look like much, so we had articles like this, provided by Russia Today, calling it barrel bomb baloney, that it was nonsense. Now, with this one, what we did, we took all the photographs and we started, and videos that were being posted online, tracking them, and looking for more signs of these videos. And this one was posted online. And this, again, is a historic video. As far as I'm aware, this is the first ever video as a barrel bomb being pushed out of the back of a helicopter. And then we had another historic video, which was, again, it being pushed out of a helicopter, but this time it's filmed inside the helicopter as it's pushed out. Now, if you've spent any time on Twitter, you know as soon as a video like this is posted online, you'll have people saying it's fake, it's been made in a Hollywood sound studio, it's from another conflict, but how do you know exactly where this was filmed? Well, we can figure that out, because what we have here is an aerial view. And where else do we have aerial views? Well, we have it in Google Earth satellite imagery. So here we can actually zoom in to the exact location it was filmed. And if we turn the camera around, we can do a nice side-by-side comparison that shows this is exactly the same location. Again, almost like fitting a key to a lock. Now, we've decided we're going to have a bit of fun here, I'm afraid. I encourage everyone to sit together on tables rather than being all unsociable and shy. Come together because we're going to play some games. So, what we've decided to do is we're going to ask you now, we're going to distribute some paper, we're going to have photographs that we've taken from various investigations, and we're also going to have a satellite image of various locations. And we want you to look at the photographs as groups on your table, think up a really cool team name as well, I encourage you to do that. And you're going to look at these photographs, and you're going to look at these satellite images, and you're going to figure out which ones match. You'll also be getting a scoring sheet, so you'll be able to write down exactly which ones match, and then we'll go through and score them. And if you're lucky, there might even be prizes at the end of the event for the team who gets the best score. So I encourage you all to come together, sit together on tables, and you'll soon have the images given to you, and you'll be able to start looking through and checking these images out. So we'll give you about 15 minutes to do that once they're all given out. So no cheating and waiting until I'm going through. Feel free to police everyone else in the room. Okay, just a few seconds more, so write down your answers. I'm going to send Bellingcat members round to police everyone as well, I think. Okay, everyone got it written down? Okay, let's go through these. I'll try and give a little bit of backstory to each one as well. So, image number 1. We're going to look at this in a bit more depth later. This is a rather silly ISIS supporter in Germany. But that number 1 matches 2. If you want to give a little cheer if you get it right, or if you don't want to do it, that's fine as well. J. Who got J? Okay, image 2. This is a image we'll see a lot later of. It's from the MH17 case. And 2 matches with B. Number 3, this is a Russian Pantsir S1 that somehow found its way to Ukraine. And that matches to image number F. You can all talk among yourselves in the coffee break how you figure that one out. So number 4, these are Russian jets in Syria. Now, I figured this one out, and as did lots of other people, by the markings on the ground matching to the markings in this image, which is number E, or letter E. Oh, that was quiet, gosh. Image number 5, these are tanks near residential buildings in Ukraine. And that matches to image number, letter C. Image 6, which is the 53rd Air Defence Brigade, their vehicle yard. That matches to K. Image 7, which is M10 Hospital, or it was M10 Hospital in Aleppo. That matches to image I. So there were a few red herrings in there, as you noticed. So G, this is the American Air Base, what is it called? Bagram in Afghanistan. H, this is just some random place in London I found. D, this is a part of Raqqa, the Islamic, which soon not to be the Islamic-held city of Raqqa. And finally, this is a missile yard that was a source of various conspiracies. So, we've come up now. I hope you all did well. Have you all scored? So, there were 7 images. Give a cheer if you got all 7. All the experts in the corner, they didn't get it. Oh, that's terrible. I'm going to be on Twitter tweeting away. Okay, who got 6? Oh, okay. 5? Oh, okay, okay. Anyone less than 5? Oh, there'll be plenty of time to catch up later.